What would Power Rangers look like if it was dark, gritty, violent? Well, we actually have the answer, because in 2015, Joseph Kahn and Adi Shankar created Power/Rangers, the fourth installment in Shankar's Bootleg universe that sent the media spiraling.
I did grow up on the Rangers. These are not the Rangers I grew up with, and that's not a bad thing.
I'm going to break down the story, look at some of the Easter eggs in the film, talk about what the original cast of Mighty Morphin Power Rangers thought about the film, and break down what the original story was like that you may never have heard about. The short came out in February of 2015 and gained over 10 million views in the first 48 hours. But Saban, the creators and the people who owned Power Rangers at the time, requested its immediate removal, claiming that it was infringing on their copyright. Of course, non-profit fan films, especially ones as satire and almost parody based as this one, are protected underneath US fair use laws. And whilst the film did come down for a little bit, it was eventually re-uploaded. The film includes all of the original 6 Rangers in one way or another, but the main story follows 4 Rangers in particular: Kimberly, Tommy, Zach, and Rocky. Kim is played by Katie Sackhoff, who you may know as Starbuck from Battlestar Galactica. Tommy's played by Russ Bane. Zach is played by Geechee Gamba. And Rocky is played by James Van Der Beek. And if you don't know who James Van Der Beek is, you definitely do. He's in Dawson's Creek, Varsity Blues, The Rules of Attraction, and my favourite of all, when James Van Der Beek played James Van Der Beek, playing Jay, aka Chronic, a character based on Jay, played by Jay Muse. Matt. Jason, Trini, and Billy are in the film, but only in flashbacks because the story mainly revolves around their deaths. Trini's played by Camilla Lim, Billy's played by Eves Bright, and Jason is played by Steven Knight. The story is told through flashback as Rocky, who currently works for the Machine Empire, is interrogating Kimberly as to the whereabouts of Tommy because they all believe that he is the one that killed all of the other Power Rangers. All of the scenes in the interrogation room are pretty cool, and they're inside this sort of like hologram, like 4-walled hologram. Rocky pretends to interact with it, but for the most part he's just moving things mindlessly. And regardless how dark they go with this, you can never escape a true corny Power Rangers line.
Bullshit is an ugly color on you.
I prefer pink.
Best line in the whole damn thing. And this sort of bleeds into the backstory of the world, because after the Rangers defeated Rita and presumably Lord Zed, the Machine Empire arrived and actually succeeded, taking over the world and seeing this weird dystopian sort of highly advanced world. Rocky also has a mechanical leg in this, which is also likely Machine Empire tech. The height of the Machine Empire invasion can be seen at the start of the film, where we get a POV from Kimberly of the Rangers with machine guns fighting off the Machine Empire, even seeing the Megazord getting completely obliterated by another mech. The film then goes into all of the other Rangers' deaths, but primarily on Zach's, who was depicted as somebody who embraced the fame element of being a Power Ranger, living a lavish lifestyle and consuming substances. But it was revealed he ended up joining the Machine Empire due to a bigger addiction, which was his work as a Power Ranger. He's addicted to the fight and he wants nothing more than to be on these missions. And as a result, we get arguably the most iconic scene in this entire short film: Zach killing off an entire resistance force in North Korea. And honestly, I'd say the biggest downfall to this fight is that it's predominantly weapons based, which I guess kind of makes sense, you know, given the tone of this movie, but it does end with a really cool knife battle between Zach and the big general, who he ends up also offing. I can't show you most of this, by the way, because this video will definitely get demonetized, you know, if it already hasn't. The movie rounds up with Tommy arriving at the facility where Rocky and Kim are, resulting in a great sword fight between Tommy and Rocky. Tommy wins the fight, and it results in him asking who the hell this woman is, because he says the real Kimberly died in his arms in that sort of flashback right at the start of the film against the Machine Empire. It's then revealed that yes, Kimberly is dead, and this is in fact Rita Repulsa in disguise, and that she was the one that killed all the other Rangers, not Tommy, and the film ends with one last strike from Tommy's sword. The film's a bit of a meta commentary on like how insane the idea of Power Rangers is, and what would happen in the real world if 6 teenagers did get recruited to fight intergalactical threats, and how that would have affected them years later. This isn't a reboot of the characters per se, but more so just a genuine look at what their lives could have been like in the future. And the production on this film is insane. It had like a 6-figure budget, completely funded by Joseph Kahn, the director and producer Adi Shankar. You could honestly show this to somebody none the wiser and they wouldn't be able to tell that this is a fan film, especially in 2015 when this looks even better than movies of similar tone like Project Almanac or Fantastic. The visual effects are also phenomenal. I mean, huge credit to Ingenuity Engine there. insane work. The holograms during the interrogation were great. There's a really awesome scene where an aircraft flies over Tommy's head. The Megazord is animated really well, and the visual effects may have a big part to play as to why this film blew up so much on YouTube. Because fan films definitely existed at this time, but the only sort of VFX heavy stuff you'd see on YouTube, especially to somewhat of a professional grade, were from channels like Corridor Digital and Freddie W. And this lends itself to the sets and costumes too. Nothing about this film looks like an indie fan project. And if you don't know any of the work of Kahn or Shankar, they are genuine industry professionals. Shankar started out in the stereotypical Hollywood system and produced real Hollywood movies before realizing he wanted more than what the industry could offer, leading him on his unique journey to creating the Bootleg universe and then making his way back into Hollywood afterwards with animation. Joseph Kahn is an exceptional director who worked in film and TV, but most famously he's worked in the music video industry, directing a variety of Taylor Swift's music videos. He's worked with the Jonas Brothers, Eminem. This dude is incredible, and as a result, this film had one of the best production teams because they were all just people that Kahn and Shankar had worked with in the past. And just a random little side rant here, the first AD in this film is a man called Joshua Lou Friedman, who I've had conversations with before, not knowing at the time he had any involvement in this film. So that's like an insane full circle moment that I've just had. I went to film school and specialised as a first AD. I reached out to Joshua after seeing his work on a short film called Bethany, and he makes up a majority of my final written project that got me a distinction. Which now that I say out loud sounds like a subtle brag. I didn't mean to be. Not really relevant, but you know, small world. You know what I mean? Crazy. So the film releases on YouTube and Vimeo, racks up like 12 million views, probably even more in 2 days, and it's completely free for people. This went down really well with the fans. People who love Power Rangers sort of just embraced it as a new project within the fandom, but then even people who liked Power Rangers as a kid but didn't necessarily follow it any further was able to look at it kind of with nostalgic eyes, but then also appreciate something more mature for them as they've gotten older. Of course, there were those copyright issues with Saban, and Joseph Kahn even said himself that he does not depict Saban or the company as sort of enemies in this case, because there is some cause for concern when there's a fan project that looks so official out there, but at the end of the day, it still doesn't infringe on any copyright because there's no profit being made. It's a fan film for all intents and purposes, and there's fair use laws in place for this type of stuff. I mean, there was so much drama around it, it broke free from the internet and hit live TV channels, like actual broadcast television channels, reporting on this film. And since you've made it to the middle point of this video, I just want to let you guys know that I have a Patreon where you can get early access to these videos, you can get ad-free viewing, there's some exclusive content on there every now and again, and you get credits and shout-outs in the video. Which of course reminds me to give a huge shout-out to Sarah Jane, Eric Lloyds, and Sam James, who are some of our Super Dino Mode patrons. The bottom tier is £3 a month, it's called a meal deal, it's less than the price of a meal deal, and it supports me in the channel and I get to make more videos like this. And of course, this film didn't just get the attention of fans, it got the attention of the original cast members too. Amy Jo Johnson and Catherine Sutherland both said they enjoyed the short and thought it was very well made, but thought it was a little irresponsible to take something so wildly searched by kids and make it so violent.
That was a little irresponsible in that way, that it didn't kind of honour the wholesome part of Power Rangers. But I really liked the production value. I thought the cast was great and all of
Steve Cardenas was all for it, probably because they give Rocky such a big role in it. Austin St. John held back his personal opinion but still gave a professional opinion, saying it was really well done and applauded the filmmakers behind it. And the most discussed response I think within the fandom was from the late Jason David Frank, who applauded the filmmakers and also said it was very well done, but also emphasized how much of a PG-13 kind of guy he was and how he doesn't think a brand like Power Rangers should be able to reach such sort of violence and substance abuse, and I can get behind that. I can see his point in it, and he is probably very right in saying that, which is even crazier to think about what the original story was for this bootleg fan film. Now, before I talk about the original idea for this film, I would like to just throw up a little trigger warning. There's no footage to show. I'm not going to go too graphic with it, but I just wanted to give everybody the option to skip past if they would like. In an interview with Collider Ladies Night, Shankar explained the original story still had somewhat of a conversational / flashback approach, but instead of being between Kimberly and Rocky, it was between Zach Taylor, the Black Ranger, and a therapist. Shankar said that Zach would have intense PTSD due to the Rangers' many battles and would have even discussed Zach's suicidal ideology and show bandages on his arms covering self-inflicted scars. Apparently the big fight scene between the Black Ranger and the Resistance was originally going to be Tommy as the Green Ranger instead, and at the end of Zach's therapy session, the therapist was going to tell him that he's a lost cause. Zach would be shocked by this and would question the therapist, and that's where we would have gotten the reveal that the therapist was actually Lord Zed in disguise. he'd kill Zack there and there, and we'd see him leave the room with blood all over his big Z staff. That is a different level to what we got. I'd like to remind everybody that this is just a work of fiction and artistic expression. If any of the topics that I've just been discussed affect you personally or you're struggling, I'd very much advise speaking to a trusted friend, a family member, or a mental health expert for some support. The original idea alone would have taken this film to a completely different level. Not necessarily for better or for worse, but I'm kind of glad that the version we got was, well, the version we got. Though to bring the mood back up a little bit, I would have loved to have seen Tommy's Green Ranger suit kicking ass in the scene, especially to see how that holographic sort of dragon shield would have worked in action, because that was a really cool design feature, you know, like this film goes heavy on holographic imagery, so the fact they made the dragon shield look like that, it was weird, but I kind of liked it. Something I found strange during my research for this video is that in an interview with SourceFed Nerd, Shankar said they never had any plans to bring back the original cast for cameos or main roles, saying he wasn't interested in merging the two worlds. However, in JDF's video where he talked about the movie, he said that they did reach out to him for a role. Now, we don't know if this was a cameo role or to play Tommy himself, but it's weird how there's two versions of those stories out there. I'd be interested to see what was going on there. And on that note, I feel like you guys have waited long enough. Let's quickfire through all of the Easter eggs and references in the bootleg Power Rangers. The Machine Empire were the main villains of Power Rangers 4th season, Power Rangers Zeo. When Kimberly tells Rocky, "You were never really one of us," this references the fact that he was a second generation Ranger and not an original. Jason and Kimberly got married, which is a theory that many fans had after speculation they were dating in the Turbo movie. Bulk and Skull are part of the team that compromised Jason and Kimberly. Before Jason dies, he reaches for a sword. Tommy takes the sword, and it's later revealed that Rocky has an identical one. Therefore, these could be versions of the Red Ranger power sword. The two women that can be seen at Zack's house are credited as Divatox and Scorpina, two villains from the Zordon era. Zack's hip-hop keto workout tapes are referencing Zack's dance fight style, the hip-hop keto. The general that Zack kills in North Korea is named General Clank, a reference to the robot Clank from Power Rangers Zeo. Rocky saying Rita created Tommy is referencing how he was an evil ranger before he joined the main team. Billy has a tech company that is producing Blade Blaster technology. Blade Blasters are the weapons the Mighty Morphin Rangers would use before summoning their power weapons. And finally, Rita Repulsa is played by the original actress from Power Rangers. Kind of. In Ranger, Bandora was played by the late Machiko Soga, and it's not her. But in Power Rangers, she was dubbed by the American voice actress Barbara Goodson, and it's not her either. But they then started shooting new Rita Repulsa footage, and whilst Barbara Goodson was still the voice, Rita was portrayed physically by Carla Perez, and that is who plays Rita in this. That was a lot. She's kind of the original. She's the first physical American Rita. Yeah. And whilst it isn't really an Easter egg, Adi Shankar's been on record saying that he originally wanted to put Masked Rider and Phoebus into this film. In the facility that Rocky held Kim in, apparently he wanted Masked Rider and Phoebus to be sort of locked up in chains. Of course, that didn't come to be, but it would have been a hilarious reference, and I'd be really interested to see how they would have adapted Kamen Rider Black RX's design, and most importantly, Phoebus's design, into this sort of darker, gritty world. I think that would have been interesting. In my opinion, this short is great. The visuals, the storytelling, the music, which I hardly touched on, but a good soundtrack can make an okay film into a brilliant film. Music goes really underlooked in films, in my opinion, and the soundtrack in this is great. I love that this will forever live in pop culture as the rated R Power Rangers. I really don't think anybody else could take the mantle on that unless the brand did an R-rated thing itself. But I'm kind of with JDF on the matter that Power Rangers should max out at PG-13, and even more so, just aim for PG in general. If you want to learn about more bootleg or rip-off Power Rangers productions, then definitely click the playlist in the end card. Thank you for watching, and if you made it this far in the video, comment the words "I prefer pink" in the comments so I know who made it to the end and who didn't. Huge thank you and shout out to Sarah Jane, Eric Leutz, and Sam James, our Super Dino Mode patrons.